It's okay, Krishna. Yeah.
Okay. So today we are going to look into the data warehousing concepts a little bit deeper. So till yesterday we have discussed like what is the data warehousing and what is the necessity of it and how the system is working with like a kind of a simple examples, like even a layman person can understand those things. But today we are going to see little bit technical thing. Okay. So yesterday we have seen the definition of the data warehousing. A data warehousing is a subject oriented, time variant, non-volatile, integrated repository or database for the purpose of decision making and analysis. Okay, so this is the basic definition, or like I can say is a bookish definition of data warehouse. So what is a data warehouse? A data warehouse is a subject oriented, time variant, non-volatile, integrated database for the purpose of decision making and analysis. So now we are going to discuss what are the subject oriented and what are the other characteristics of this specific concept. First, subject oriented. So what do you mean by subject oriented? So basically, if you look at the business, if you look at the, let's take JP Morgan business, okay? So Chase Bank, and I don't know what other entities they're having, but like let's take an example of a JP Morgan. So as per my knowledge, I'm just having a knowledge on the Chase Bank. Okay, that is what one of their product. And the second thing is maybe Chase Bank might have the loans. And third thing is Chase Bank is having credit cards. And I don't know whether they're having insurance or not. So just let's consider only these three: banking, credit cards, loans. So JP Morgan is handling these three different kind of areas, okay, as part of his financial institution. So according to the JP Morgan, banking is one of the subject area. Loans is another subject area. Credit cards is another subject area. So if JP Morgan comes to you and asks, okay, let's build a data warehouse, then what is your first analysis on the JP Morgan is, what are your subject areas? Where exactly you spread it on the market? Okay, so are you in the banking? Yes. Are you in the credit cards? Yes. Are you in the loans? Yes. Then whatever the product data warehousing system, okay, you are going to build should cover all these three subject areas. That's why the definition says data warehouse is a subject oriented. Here my subjects are loans, credit cards, banking. If you take the Walmart, electronics, groceries, whatever it is, like clothes. Okay. So next, like whatever. Okay. There are having so many things. So if you are taking like aviation industry, there can be different kind of subject areas. If you are taking the pharmaceutical, there can be different kind of subject areas. So whenever someone asks you or when a client asks you to build a data warehouse, being a data modeler or being a person who builds this data warehousing, you should have the idea on a kind of business what they are doing. You should be able to classify them into different subjects. So that is where your first point is going to start. Okay, subject oriented. According to this slide, the data in the data warehouse is organized around the major subject of the enterprise, that is high-level entities. So the same thing, whatever I explained. So here high-level entities are banking, loans, credit cards. So whatever the data you are going to put into the data warehouse organized around these three high-level entities.
Yeah.
The orientation around the major subject areas causes the data warehouse designed to be data-driven. So whatever the activities, whatever the things, whatever the operations, whatever the tasks you are going to perform is or built among these entities only. Okay, you are not focusing any other thing. So whatever the thing you are going to perform are related to these subjects. The operational systems are designed around the application and functions. Example, loans, savings, credit cards. In case of a bank, where the data warehouse is designed around subject like customer, product, vendor. So same thing, like it's trying to give different examples. But like ultimately, what you need to understand the subject oriented is A subject oriented means whatever the entities, high level entities the business is having, you are going to build your data warehouse based on those areas, high level entities. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So ultimately, the first point is subject oriented. Whenever you are talking, whenever you are explaining to interviewer the subject oriented, these things should be there in your background of your mind. Then only you can confidently say, okay, this is what subject.
Okay.
Next, time variant. So what is a time variant? Whatever the system, whatever the process, whatever the data warehousing system you are planning to build should able to support or should be time variant one. What do you mean by time variant? For example, I am building a system, I am building a data warehousing system, but it's not able to support, it's not able to provide me the data based on the timings or like based on the timelines. For example, if I'm asking my data warehouse, okay, I need whatever happened in last 100 years. Then if you are saying, I don't know, like I can provide only 1 month of the data, then there is no difference between the database and your data warehouse. Okay.
Yes.
If I'm asking like I just need like last whatever happened in last 1 minute, if you say I cannot provide last 1 minute data, then what is the difference between your database and your data warehouse? So whatever the level of or like instead of saying level, whatever the granularity you are using on your time, your data warehouse should be capable of providing at the level of your granularity. For example, if I'm saving like saying like a last minute, you should able to, you means the data warehouse should capable of providing that information. If I'm saying 1 hour, yes, it should. If I'm saying like a 1 day, it should. If I'm saying 1 week, it should. If I'm saying 1 year, it should. Or 1 decade, it should. Okay. Why? Because it's kind of an analysis. The system itself you're building for the analysis. So different kind of a businesses might want to do different kind of analysis. So that's why whenever you are building a data warehouse, always keep in your mind you are going to build a system which is time variant. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So each and every record, each and every data is aligned with the time, or else there is no meaning for your database and data warehouse.
Okay.
Now integrated. Just like before, when you asked that question, like what is the difference between database and data warehouse, I told you like in the database you are going to have different kind of informations, different kind of databases for each and everything. For inventory you're going to have a separate database, for sales you're going to have a separate database, for like for the returns you are going to have a separate database. But coming to the data warehouse, it's a single entity which is going to answer each and every question of your business. Okay, it's a single point of an entity. How you are making it as a single point of entity? Because you are integrating each and every entity and you are making as in a single entity for your business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't want to go in detail of these slides, but like if you are able to understand what I'm saying, then you can frame your own wordings on that one. But ultimately integrated means whatever the different subject areas you're having, as example I mentioned, in the JP Morgan, loans, banking, cards. So when you are building a data warehouse, you should have this thing in your mind. I should be capable of integrating these three entities. Okay?
It
Non-volatile.
means stores all the relational data about all these three entities in a
Yes.
single place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So whatever the thing you are calling as a data warehouse, right? That data warehouse. So don't think like when I'm saying single place, don't think it's a single database. No. What I mean to say is, so what I mean to say is in the place, whatever you are calling as a data warehouse, there you can have like n number of tables, okay, different kind of schemas. Ultimately, that is the only one place your business can focus. All of your business information is stored in that particular place.
Like a core.
Yeah, like a core for the decision making analysis, not for any other things.
Not only for
When you're calling a
transactions.
databases, it's for everything. Even if you have a time, if you have a capacity, if you are having like a technically expert, then even you can write a query on your databases. But you are making a separate thing just to because to create an efficient environment to take decisions. That's it. And one more disadvantage with the databases, you cannot store 100 years worth of the data or 50 years worth of the data. Why? Databases are not capable of storing the data? No, they are capable of the storing the data. But the problem is, for example, in a database, the capacity of the database is already filled with a 90%. Assume, okay, morning he's trying to scan the you are purchasing like a television, and the shopkeeper is trying to scan it. When he's scanning, what's going to happen? The information will go into the databases, right?
Okay.
So when this transaction is happening, this transaction is not only happening in one area, it's happening across the world. Assume for some reason, if your database crashes, what happens?
We lost all the
Because
data.
you are trying to, because like for the management purpose, they have to read the data every day. They have to take their decisions. They have to analyze the data. So in other place, people are trying to read the data. In other place, people are trying to put the data. What's going to happen? There is so much load on your databases. So it's going to crash. Assume if your databases crashes, what's going to happen to your business? Assume if the Walmart person cannot scan an item, what he's supposed to do? He's supposed to close. It's not like a kind of a kirana store in our cities, small cities, right? He's supposed to close each and every part of the world is supposed to close his business. So if the management wants to take the decision, they have to look into the data. If they want to look into the data, the business is getting closed. So definitely they need a separate system. They have to separate this decision-making system to the transactional processing system. That's why they introduced a parallel system called data warehouse. Maybe just I'm trying to answer for your first question. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next thing is non-volatile. So why I'm saying non-volatile? When I'm talking about the data, the day you started your business till today, for example, JP Morgan, they might start in 19th century, like in 1910 or 1920s. But even today, they're running a business. Whatever the transactions they did from the starting of their business to till the end of their business or till the current day, they should not lose a single record, because all these records, all this system you are building for the decision making. If you want to make a decision, you should have all the data, right?
Yes.
So for that reason, you need each and every record. And when you're building a data warehouse, you should remember this one also. Okay. So whatever the data in the transaction systems, okay, whatever the data you daily, the Walmart people are scanning, that data, whatever is happening, okay, will be processed with the ETL and then loaded into the data warehouse. You may ask like, is all the data is coming? No, that's why I said is processed, is going to transform, is going to filter. Okay, so the decision oriented data only stored in the database or in the data warehouse. The rest of the data will be discarded. You might ask like, when you are discarding the data, are you not losing the data? Yes, you are losing the data, but you are not losing the data which is related to the data warehouse. Did you get my point?
Yeah.
You are just losing the data which is not part of your decision oriented data, but you are definitely capturing the data which is related to the decision oriented. Okay.
Okay.
So ultimate, what exactly the four characteristics: subject oriented, time variant, non-volatile, integrated. Okay. So now, what is the difference between the OLTP and data warehouse? The same thing. OLTP means when you perform the transaction, that data is called a online transactional processing system. Data warehouse means the system which is used for the decision analysis. Let's see what he mentioned in the slide. OLTP systems are turned for known transactions and workloads while workload is not known in a data warehouse. So the same thing, whatever the transactions you are performing, okay, whatever the workloads you are performing, so is part of the OLTP.
Sorry, Krishna, you didn't share your screen.
Till now I didn't share my screen.
No.
sorry, Smriti. I was under
Yes.
impression like I've been sharing this PPT for a long time.
Okay.
Okay. So now can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So OLTP systems are turned for known transactions and workloads, while workload is not known in a data warehouse. So I don't know what is that workload, the intention of that workload, but like let me put it in a simple terms. OLTP systems are turned for known transactions, means whatever the transactions you are performing are part of the OLTP, or the OLTP systems, online transactional process systems, are built to process the transactional data. What is the transactional data? Whatever the transaction, whatever the operations, okay, day-to-day operations, whatever happening in your business are called transactions. Okay, such kind of a data is transactional data. The system, the processing such kind of a data is online transaction processing systems. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Coming to the data warehouse, the data which is related to the decision making is stored in data warehouse. Simple. On OLTP, the data related to the transaction, data warehousing, the data related to the decision making. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
He mentioned some example, right? So average amount spent on phone calls between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Pune during the month of the December. So this is what example of a data warehouse. So he's not expecting who called to whom, but he's expecting average amount. Is that make sense?
Yes.
These are the couple of differences. OLTP is application oriented. So whatever the applications, whatever the people are tracking, right, by using a tracking devices, that is an application. So data warehouse subject oriented. So what is the difference between the application oriented and subject oriented? Application doesn't make any difference what are the product you bring over there. Okay, it is just related to that application, whatever is the screens. But data warehouse, when you are putting the data into a data warehouse, you should be very cautious on the subjects. Okay, subjects means what? If you are taking the example of Walmart, groceries is a subject. Okay, I'm just saying in for example. Okay, don't think is a concrete example, but like just for example, groceries is a subject area. Electronics are the subject area. So different kind of subject areas. Use it to run the business. That's what I mentioned. So use it to run the business. When you go to the Walmart to perform a billing, you need a OLTP system. But warehouse, use it to analyze the business. OLTP, detailed data. You are going to have each and every information on OLTP, like product, product ID, at what time you purchased, what is the return policy on this product, what is the manufacturing policies on this product, what is the amount, what is the date, who purchased, what is the card he used, everything will be there in the OLTP. Coming to data warehouse, no. It's kind of a summarized how much you spent on it. That's it. Okay, you don't store anything else. Okay, what is the product?
Yeah.
What is the amount? That's it. He don't know who purchased. He don't know. He don't want to store all this kind of information on data warehouse. Current up to date. So coming to the OLTP, whatever the data you are putting in the OLTP is up to date. So whatever the data is happened today, or yesterday, or 1 week, or 1 month. So that's all depends like the what kind of system your business wants to make. But this is a specific timelines. Okay, but whatever is warehouse, it's kind of a snapshot data. Means whatever is happened today, you are going to store into data warehouse tonight. But in the OLTP, it's kind of a up to date, right? Whatever the transaction is happening, just simply going back into your OLTPs. But the data warehouse, it's based on the time. So you want to store the data into a data warehouse, a weekly pattern, or like a monthly pattern, or daily pattern, or hourly pattern, or minute pattern. It all depends. Is it clear? Snapshotted and recorded. So isolated data, integrated data. When I'm talking about the OLTP, whatever the transactions you are doing, okay, for an in the Walmart, okay, the best example is banking sector. Whatever the transactions you are doing in the banking, they are having a separate banking databases. Whatever the transactions you are doing in ATMs, they are having a separate databases. Whatever the transactions you are doing in the loans, separate database, or separate database. But coming to data warehouse, while putting the data, you are integrated. It's kind of an integrated. You are extracting the data from different entities and putting in a common location. Okay. So repetitive access, ad hoc access. In the OLTP, every minute is kind of in a repetitive. So many people can add access at the same time. But warehouse ad hoc, only in certain times you are going to generate the reports. Okay. So that's why OLTP systems are very sensitive compared to data warehouse. If something happens to OLTP, the whole business is going to be down. But data warehouse, yes, it's even, this is very critical, but still it's not as much as OLTP. Okay. So clerical user is going to use OLTP, means the people who are running the business on the stores, those are kind of a clerical use. But warehouses, only management will use the data warehouse. Okay. So just for your understanding, like, so no one will ask what are the differences, but people may ask what is the OLTP. Then if you give the answer by explaining all these things, he will be happy. Okay. So performance sensitive, that's what I mentioned just now. It's very sensitive, OLTP. Okay. So coming to the data warehouse is little bit okay, but not as sensitive as OLTP. Few records accessed at a time. Okay. Large volumes accessed at a time. So when I'm talking about the OLTP, even people want to access the OLTP, they may search the data for one record or like one transaction. Coming to data warehouse, it's a large volume, because whatever the report you are accessing in a data warehouse, everywhere you are talking about what is the average, what is the sum, and what are the sales compared to the last year. Like that, you are going to ask the data warehouse, right? When you're asking these kind of questions, definitely you are going to perform your operations on a large volumes of the data. In the OLTP, you are having read and update access. So you can put a record into the database and you can read a record. But in the data warehouse, mostly read. Why mostly read? Most of the time you are simply reading the data for analysis. Only the time you are going to put the data while extracting the data from a different source system and just put the data into a data warehouse. That's the only point where you are going to put the data into data warehouse. Rest of all the times you are going to generate the reports by using a data warehouse. Okay. No data redundancy, and coming over here is a redundancy present. So I'll come to this point when we come to the actual definition of the redundancy. So okay, only this point, that is redundancy. Next thing, database size is 100 MB to 100 GB. So always the transactional processing systems will be only a limited size. So at max, I cannot say like this is what the max, but like I can say it is limited OLTP, because it's going to be transactional data. Every 1 month they may clear, or every 1 day they may clear the data. But coming to data warehouse, there is no concept of the deleting the data from the data warehouse. So it can go up to terabyte, petabytes, hexabytes. There is no limit on data warehouse. Okay, but till now the people are going with the terabytes. So when big data is coming into the picture, it's completely different story, but like it's nothing related to data warehouse. But the people might store the data in more than terabytes. Okay.
Okay.
So please remind me, Shruti, we need to discuss about the redundancy.
Redundancy, yeah.
So transaction throughput is a performance metric and query throughput is the performance metric. So whatever the operations you are performing, like if you look at this, both of the systems in the performance perspective. So the transaction, whatever the action you are performing, being a seller or being a counter person, the transaction throughput is the performance here. So means how effectively you are reading the data from your product, or how effectively you are entering the data into your system is a performance here. But data warehouse, how effectively you are retrieving the data, how effectively you are querying the data is a performance point. Okay. So OLTP, you are going to have, and I mean, compared to data warehouse, definitely it's larger, because there are so many employees working directly with the customers as part of your business. But coming to data warehouse, only managers will work, right? So it's not related to your customers. It's related to your internal management. So definitely the count will be, the usage of the people will be little less. Managed in entirety, managed by subsets. Basically, when I'm talking about the OLTP system, so the level of the use of this specific OLTP system is across the organization, mostly across the organization will be same. Like if I'm using a scanning device, if I'm using the front end application in the banking, but like almost for all the people, that application is common. But coming to data warehouse, each person will expect different kind of reports, right? So one group, sales group might expect different kind of report, and the CEO or the main persons, well, high level management might expect a different kind of a report. Low level management can expect a different kind of a report. So comparatively with the OLTP, data warehouse is managed by a subset, different kind of people, different kind of necessities. But OLTP more for the entire business. Okay, if I'm taking a banking, almost 99.9% of the people are going to use only one application. Is it clear? Any questions, Shruti? No?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. So ultimately, to summarize, OLTP systems are used to run a business. Data warehouse is to optimize the business. Means it's for the day-to-day actions, you need OLTP systems, OLTP databases. But to improve your business, to enhance your business methodologies, you need a data warehouse. Ultimately, data warehouse is a decision supporting system. OLTP is a day-to-day transaction processing system.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to see like where is that redundancy. So we enhanced like all the presentations and everything as compared to the last batch. So like anyway, so if you are missing some concept or some point, please make a note of it, Shruti. Okay. So when the time comes, like definitely I'll come back to that one. So because like I don't want to confuse you by mentioning that.
Okay. And yesterday, you said that sales scenario. We didn't discuss about the sales scenario.
What sales scenario?
We didn't discuss about sales scenario. We just mentioned it after some days after we can.
Oh, sales scenario.
Yeah. I just make a point. That's why I'm asking.
Sales scenario. What is a scenario? I mean, see, this is what the slide we discussed yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what slide it is? Okay, from today I will do one thing, Shruti.
Okay.
So I'll make a note within the slide itself, so that will be easy for us to get back to that. Okay, so now I'll come back to this thing, but like today I would like to check on the downloads, Shruti. What is the current status of your downloads?
I already downloaded and just, I mean, I didn't get any support from the installation team.
Okay. So please send out a note, Shruti, so that like someone will respond on that one.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Okay, so you already
Okay.
downloaded, right? So can you share your
Yeah,
screen?